Hello viewers and welcome to Martin County Television's newest veterans program, Heroes Among Us. My name is Scott Guntz and I'm a proud veteran of Grenada and honored to have been asked to host this program. In this and many more shows to come, we plan to bring you personal stories and events so as to offer you a brief glimpse of honor, courage, and dedication to duty that each of our heroes among us have portrayed and lived through to earn the respect and dignity as a proud veteran as well as a proud American. These stories will be coming straight from the veterans themselves, providing us with a verbal record and archives of what it is like for them to be serving our great country. We plan to interview a few fellow vets right here in our own studio, as well as hope to go on location and bring you veterans events, gathering places, and watering holes in an attempt to give you, the viewer, insight into the lives and struggles of our heroes among us. So stay tuned to MCTV and follow our program to get to know all our heroes among us over the next few months. Also, if you recognize any of our heroes on the street, please take it upon yourself to thank them for their service and welcome them home. You might just make a new friend. December 7th, 2016 marked the 75th anniversary of the bombing of Pearl Harbor. President Franklin D. Roosevelt called December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. Within minutes of the attack, the battleship USS Arizona was hit by 8 bombs dropped by the Japanese planes. Over 1,177 sailors lost their lives when the USS Arizona was sunk in her berth. The United States Coast Guard Auxiliary Flotilla 59 in Stuart can trace its history back to April 11th of 1942, which was also 75 years ago. Born during the first part of World War II, when the German U-boat activity was suspected off the South Florida shores, the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary Flotilla 59 members have been on duty ever since. The members rode horseback along the Treasure Coast beaches, manned the tower at the House of Refuge on Hutchinson Island, and served as offshore patrols during a very difficult time in our history. Over 20 years ago, the U.S. Navy established a program to donate pieces of the USS Arizona to veteran groups and historical organizations. On Saturday, April 29th of this year, 2017, a piece of the Arizona was presented to the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary 59.
Any business or any company, but for a volunteer organization that doesn't see tangible benefits from their work, it's amazing to have the continuity for 75 years. In 1942, our nation was at a spot where we are very much in the same area today. There is a rough and a tough parts of the world, and we have servicemen and women across the globe serving our country. But to have volunteers here in Stuart and supporting the Coast Guard and the Coast Guard's missions here at home, helping us in Homeland Security, recreational boating safety, and boater education. I can't put any words on how much that you help not only the Coast Guard's mission, but my crew at the station and doing our missions. We have a very large mission. We have a foreign nation only 70 miles away with no border wall possible in the Bahamas. We are constantly fighting the battle to keep our country safe, to keep our borders safe, and to keep our citizens of Stuart and the local areas and the visitors to our beautiful Treasure Coast safe. So on behalf of the United States Coast Guard, from the gold side, more importantly from my crew, Mark and Darrell, I'd like to present you with a bronze plaque for the building, commemorating the 75 years of volunteer and 75 years of dedication that you all have shown, not only to the Coast Guard, but to the community as a whole. We thank you.
And at this point, I'd like to introduce Mr. Hank Couchard, Public Affairs Specialist, U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate being here.
Thank you for coming in today. How special was it for you guys to actually receive that piece of the Arizona?
Incredible. One of our original members was Captain Spence Kidd, who donated a model of the USS Arizona to our flotilla in 1986 at the completion of our facility there in Sanskrit Park. He was the brother of Rear Admiral Kidd, who perished on the USS Arizona. So to have one of our members and a piece of the Arizona presented to us was very special.
A very silly question off the cuff here is, when you see all the movies like the recreations of Pearl Harbor, so on and so forth, does that bring any memories back, do you think, to any of your members?
I think it does. A lot of our members are senior, in their 80s, some in their 90s, served in the various wars, and for them to see that in our building, very special for them.
That had to be one heck of an amazing thing. Is there anything else you'd like to speak with everyone about today?
No, I think that sometimes people forget that the U.S. Coast Guard played an important role, and the Coast Guard Auxiliary played an very important role
Absolutely.
in the conflict of World War II. The Coast Guard Auxiliary 5-9 has been in Sanskrit Park since 1986. And we are the educational arm, if you will, for the United States Coast Guard. So we conduct safe boating classes, vessel safety checks, and do patrols, just like the Coast Guard. So we do everything the Coast Guard does except law enforcement, and we think it's very special.
I agree with that 100%. On that day, we spoke to Lieutenant J.G. Nicole Corbett of the United States Coast Guard as well.
Today we're celebrating the 75th anniversary of the Flotilla 5-9, the auxiliary. So we are commemorating their 75 years of service in support of the active duty Coast Guard. I am currently stationed at Coast Guard Sector Miami, located just in downtown Miami, where we cover 185 nautical miles of coastline from the northern part of Key Largo up to Malamar.
We also spoke to Wilson Riggin, who is an aircraft commander and flight examiner for the Coast Guard Auxiliary. Wilson tells us why the event was so special to Flotilla 59 of Stewart.
Today's event is very special. It commemorates the 75th anniversary of Flotilla 5-9 and one of the oldest continuous service flotillas in the Coast Guard Auxiliary. We had the privilege of receiving an artifact from the USS Arizona, primarily because of our length of service and because of the flotilla's connection with Admiral Kidd, who went down on the Arizona on December 7th in 1941. His brother was a member of this flotilla.
Hank, I'd like to thank you again for being with us today.
Thank you, Scott.
I know this was a special honor for the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary Flotilla 59 members who believe strongly in the United States Coast Guard and its missions. The USS Arizona relic will be on display and appreciated for years to come. We will be right back with a World War II veteran, Leo Hopkins, who served on the aircraft carrier USS Franklin that was attacked on March 19th of 1945 by a Japanese dive bomber who dropped 2 semi-armor-piercing bombs. One bomb struck the flight deck centerline, penetrating to the hangar deck, effectively destructing and igniting fires throughout the second and third decks as well. With us today on Heroes Among Us, we have Leo Hopkins, survivor of the USS Franklin when it was attacked. Leo, Can you tell us a little bit about the story of how it was attacked and what happened?
That day, I was coming up from breakfast about 10 to 9, and I was going to go through the marine compartment to get on the hangar deck. When I went into the marine compartment, the bombs were off, and I was blown out of the doorway and hit my head deck, and I didn't get knocked out, but I got cut up on my head.
So when the bombs went off as you were coming up, it blew you back.
Yeah, well, I was gonna go aft to get away from whatever happened, and the Marines in the compartment, they all died, and the guys were coming forward to get out of the bombs.
Was it like mass hysteria, everybody running to get out?
Yeah, they didn't know which way to go.
Sure.
So I went down to the mess hall again and got in the big room, and there was about 200 guys in there. We locked ourselves in.
Why would they lock themselves in there?
We didn't want any smoke to get us, you know. About 2 hours later, a guy by the name of Lieutenant Gary, he come down looking for survivors. And he said, "Oh my God, I tell you what to do. When we go out of here, grab the guy in front of you and don't let go."
Was there a lot of smoke and flame
Yeah,
too?
yeah. So he led us out. They had screens that to bring oxygen into the belly of the ship.
Oh, okay.
And we took the screen out, and there was a ladder up to the screen.
Like
One
an
at a time, we went up and went down in the anti-aircraft guns mounts.
Okay.
The guys were gone, and we went forward to go up, and the front of the ship were the bombs are in the back.
All the fire and everything
Yeah.
was concentrated in the back of the ship.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I got up on the flight deck, and Father O'Callaghan, and I used to be older boy for him, and she said, "Leo, follow me." I says, "Father, you know where you're going. I don't know where I'm going. Come on." So we went to fight the fire.
How old were you when this happened, Leo?
I was 20 years old that day, March 19, 1945. The ship at the time was leaning over. We were dead in the water,
Yes.
and the Pittsburgh, a cruiser, took us in tow.
Okay.
And they told us all night long to get away from Japan.
Okay.
And then during the night, we got the ship up first. So got all the water. The next day, about 6 guys went down
Yes.
to see if they could get the engines running. And a friend of mine from Johnson Beach,
Local.
Dutty Rhodes, they call him, and he uses Zippo lighter to light the
Get those
flame,
boilers lit again.
get the engines going.
Yes, sir.
So we went under our own power from there to a small island called Uletti.
What would you like to say to everyone out there today?
Oh my God, I'm a lucky guy to survive the Franklin. Of the 3,200 guys, 704 of us took the ship all the way to New York. And I finally saw the Statue of Liberty. Oh my God, I'm home.
That's everything. You're home, man.
We came in to New York, and the fire boats were lined up, and they knew we were coming. And we went up the middle. They were showering the ship
Yeah.
with water.
Leo,
Yeah.
I have to thank you for your service. I want
Thank
to
you.
thank you for what you did for us, fighting for all of us. I'd like to thank you for watching Heroes Among Us. We're here to honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. We are grateful that such men and women are among us. For those who continue to serve, we honor their commitment. For those who return to civilian life, we honor their service. Thank you, and we'll see you next time on Heroes Among Us.